And of course, Dr. Bailey, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we would talk about the impact that recent developments in Nashville, primarily economic developments, expansion, et cetera, some of these developments have had on what you do as the director of the Metropolitan Health Department. Let's do it from that perspective.
Well, whenever you build new things, you know, in the city, you know, they are subject to codes and subject to our looking into whether there's appropriate runoff for sewage and the engineering as far as the groundwork is concerned. We're in there doing the restaurant inspections and making sure we were involved when, especially with the stadium and the water, the sanitation with the facilities not adequately functioning. So there are a lot of peripheral things that we're involved in. Just buildings in general, air quality, indoor air quality, and general sanitation issues. So not as tremendously involved. Those are regulatory things that we do, and we do them throughout the city on an everyday basis.
And of course that has had just a sort of a minimal impact, because these things would have to be done by folks who are already assigned and already organized to do those kinds of things.
In the sense that they're done without new staff. I mean, the more buildings you put up, they still have to be inspected. The staff, our staff has pretty much stayed the same over the last few years. There have been no additions. But we still find a way to be efficient with what we do and tend to those things that are very critical, you know, to the health of the community.
Well, now, what do you consider to be the major health concerns as we move into this 21st century? And what are some of the things that you are prepared to deal with at the Metropolitan Health Department? There
are at least, let's see, 3 or 4 things that come immediately to mind. Communicable disease control is always a big issue, and it's going to be a big issue as we go through this millennium. Not so much that we're having a lot pop up, as much as we have to maintain that surveillance so it doesn't pop up. At any moment, we're liable to have an outbreak of anything, but there are public health protection factors in place that the public doesn't see on an everyday basis. How many times we go out and inspect restaurants, for instance, or how many times we quarantine someone or prevent someone from going on to disease because they're contact to another disease entity. Right now we find ourselves with a high number of syphilis, and the potential for that to get out of control is there. And about, about 11 months ago or so, we started on this community-wide effort to decrease and even eliminate syphilis. So communicable diseases is something that is a major focus of the health department. The other biggie would be disparities, the disparity gap. Across the nation, as well as in Nashville, you find that blacks are dying 2 to 3 times, and in some indicators as much as 4 times more quickly or earlier than whites.